Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, a northern Kentucky man accused in a high-profile deadly home invasion is facing new allegations from within his jail itself. Shannon Gilday is accused of killing a woman inside a Madison County mansion that's home to a former state lawmaker. Now he's accused in an attack on a deputy jailer. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has reaction to an already bizarre story that has a new twist.
Shannon Gilday has remained here in the Madison County Jail following his arrest after the murder of Jordan Morgan inside her father's mansion. And I'm told by police that they had not heard of any problems with him until Saturday night. That's when jail units responded to a commotion in an isolation hallway. The investigating officer says he came upon a deputy fighting with inmate Shannon Gilday. The deputy said Gilday attacked him and had his arm on his neck, causing him difficulty in breathing or to call for help. It's the latest incident allegedly involving Gilday that started February 22nd when police say that he shot his way into former state lawmaker Wesley Morgan's home, killed his daughter Jordan while she slept, then got into a shootout with Morgan himself before running out. He fled to Florida, then came back to Richmond, where a Madison County deputy found him walking on Barnes Mill Road.
I think the relief across the county and other counties, because nobody knew where this Gilday subject was at, Shannon Gilday. Nobody had any idea where he would be at. So I think the relief across the communities, it was just a great feeling to know that he had been apprehended.
Along with the indictment on the murder, attempted murder, and other charges from the February 22nd deadly home invasion, Shannon Gilday is now facing some new charges of first-degree strangulation and third-degree assault. In Madison County, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
We asked Gilday if he would like to talk to us, but he declined.
Well, you've needed the coats as you've gone outside today, because while the sun has returned, it's not necessarily getting much warmer this afternoon. Outside, you see plenty of sunshine. I-75 at Mount Vernon, just a few of those fair weather clouds this afternoon. It looks like a nice spring day outside. UVA-wise camera, you look outside and say, hey, it's a great day to be outside. And then you look up at the temperature and it's 45. Yeah, that's about 25 degrees cooler than where we should be for this time of year. Temperatures in the area remain up into the low 50s in some spots, but others staying in those upper 40s. And you really feel it out there as well. Those winds gusting upwards of 20 miles per hour, so it feels even cooler at times. The good news is those winds will start to calm down as we head into tonight. We keep that WYMT weather app handy because we see clear skies drop the temperatures into the 30s tonight. Even though we bring in a few clouds by the morning hours, we still have to deal with frost and freeze alerts. Many of us going to be falling into the 30s tonight as those winds calm down. Perfect for frost and freeze development. So be careful if you've already planted out there this spring, because we could be seeing some issues with that later on. Now I'll have the details, though, on when temperatures could reach 80 degrees coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. The newest Middle East violence has escalated, with Palestinian militants firing a rocket into Israel overnight and Israel launching its first airstrikes on Gaza in months. That follows several days of fighting between Palestinians and Israeli police at a holy site in Jerusalem. CBS's Chris Van Cleve is following the violence happening at a very difficult moment.
Airstrikes light up the night sky over the Gaza Strip as tensions mount. The Israeli military says it was targeting a weapons manufacturing site belonging to Hamas and comes in response to a rocket fired into southern Israel. No injuries were reported. Violence has been escalating since Friday. Clashes between Palestinians and Israeli police have centered around the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, which is also the site of an ancient Jewish temple. It's the third most sacred site in Islam and the holiest for Jews. Sunday, police entered the compound to arrest Palestinians barricaded inside and blocked Muslim access to allow Jews and tourists to pray. The unrest comes at a rare convergence of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, Easter, and Passover, coupled with the first chance for crowds to gather at the holy site since the pandemic. The violence is prompting, quote, deep concern from the State Department.
We, as we did on Friday, continue to call on all sides to exercise restraint, to avoid provocative actions and rhetoric, and preserve the historic status quo on the Haram al-Sharif Temple Mount. We also continue to urge Israeli and Palestinian officials to work cooperatively to lower tensions and ensure the safety of everyone.
Clashes at the same site last May prompted an 11-day war, killing more than 200 before ending in a ceasefire. Now, a series of Palestinian attacks inside Israel have killed 14 in recent weeks, prompting Israeli raids in the West Bank, where at least 26 Palestinians have died. The State Department says U.S. diplomats have been in touch with their counterparts in the region trying to calm tensions. The United Nations Security Council is holding a closed-door meeting focused on the spike in violence. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, London.
The Pentagon estimates Russia has sent 11 more battalion tactical groups into eastern Ukraine. That would equate to 8,000 to 11,000 additional soldiers being sent into the area as part of a long-anticipated Russian offensive to take control of the region and the key port city of Mariupol. Russia says it hit more than 1,200 targets with missile and rocket attacks overnight ahead of any moves on the ground, a situation U.S. officials say they are keeping an eye on.
We have continued to see the concentration of their airstrikes and artillery in the Donbass and in the south, particularly around and in Mariupol.
President Biden held a video call with Western allies this morning to discuss next steps as another round of sanctions targeting Russia is expected soon. Western allies are also considering how to step up military assistance for Ukraine. The latest round of U.S. shipments are arriving in the region, including new weapons systems. Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has a new obstacle in her re-election bid. She has a hearing in front of a state judge on Friday after a federal judge ruled a coalition of liberal groups can proceed with their push to disqualify Greene from running. They claim she fueled the violence in the January 6th riots with her rhetoric, specifically in a comment saying she was against a peaceful transfer of power. The disqualification clause in the Constitution says an office holder who backs an insurrection is prohibited from another term. Greene has denied any wrongdoing, saying this move is a witch hunt. Projects funded by the $1 trillion infrastructure law are getting new guidelines. The White House will require construction materials to be made in the United States. The new mandate goes into effect May 14th. In some cases, if the materials are in short supply or if they are too expensive domestically, the rule can be waived. Uber riders and drivers can leave their masks at home. Tuesday, the ride service company announced that facial coverings are no longer mandatory in their vehicles. Uber officials emailed users saying they revised their policy after the masking order from the CDC expired. This comes after a federal judge in Florida struck down the Biden White House's mask mandate for public transportation. We will have more on that in our next half hour. Let's head over to Wall Street now on this Tuesday. The Dow closes up almost 500 points at 499. We'll have more on Wall Street and financial headlines a little later. Back here in the mountains, climbing costs are causing trouble for some locally owned restaurants, with one even making major changes to its menu to compensate. Heritage Kitchen in Whitesburg has removed many dishes with turkey or ham, saying the sharp increase in pricing for both was becoming too much to bear. The restaurant's owner and manager, Brad Shepard, says he's been able to use chicken as a substitute for many of the dishes, but worries that may only be a temporary fix.
And it's even more than turkey and ham going up so much. Everything has gone up to a point that at times it almost seems unsustainable. So we were really looking at ways that let's eliminate some cost and where else can we reapply those costs.
Shepard says that with the price increase of certain foods, restaurant owners have to do what they can. That means either making adjustments or closing their doors. And Shepard says closing down is not an option for them. Straight ahead on First at 4, a look at how one group of Boy Scouts are working to help a unique part of nature.
And we're past the midpoint of spring, and Mother Nature looks to respond accordingly. The very latest on Next.